What is up everyone, it's me Dan here, and today I'm going to be doing my review for Arrow Season 6 Episode 17 entitled Brothers in Arms. Now this is going to be a very long review today because I am quite short for time sadly, so this won't be as in depth as my other reviews, but I still wanted to talk about this episode nevertheless because of course I haven't really made a proper video for about 2 weeks because I've been on holiday, but I'm going to be back here again obviously. I'm going to be talking about this episode. Kind of wished it was a bit of a better episode to talk about, you know, it's my first video back for a while, but this is what we're left with, so let's just get into the episode. So the basic premise of this episode is that Oliver and Diggle basically butt heads over the mantle of the Green Arrow. Diggle is somehow still upset about the fact that Oliver will not pass down the mantle of Green Arrow to him because he feels like that mantle makes him complete as a person, and Diggle can't understand why he doesn't agree with this, why he feels as if he's a bit jealous in a way. So the whole episode is about him trying to find out why, while he and Oliver butt heads. There's also a few other side plots as well. You have Curtis and his new boyfriend. He finds out his new boyfriend is against vigilantes. He basically thinks that they are the same as criminals in a way. And then you also have the other side plot of Black Siren and Ricardo Diaz. You know, Diaz slowly trying to sway Black Siren more towards like being a villain rather than being a hero. Now this episode was a bit 50-50 for me because although there were parts that I did like about the episode, there was also a lot that very much frustrated me at a lot of times. So in the reverse of what I usually do, I'm actually going to talk about the negative things first so we can get them out of the way. First off, and this is the biggest one for me, was the whole Oliver and Diggle butting heads thing. For me, I felt like this was extremely rushed and just very poorly done because a lot of the things that they brought up against each other, some of them were good, but other parts of it just felt a little bit strange, like how Diggle brought up William's mother's death and how Oliver basically caused that. That felt very out of context because it was during the whole, you know, big scene where they're all yelling at each other and blaming each other for stuff going wrong. And then Diggle all of a sudden brings that up, and it just felt so weird to me because it had nothing to do with the conversation, and Oliver had nothing to do with Samantha Clayton's death. He had nothing to do with it. That was all Prometheus, and it's just a load of rubbish. And in my honest opinion, I found myself siding with Oliver more than Diggle. Because even though Diggle had all this frustration towards Oliver about how he got stuff done, at the end of the day, Diggle was the one who, in a way, led to Ricardo Diaz getting to where he is, because he obviously brought the drugs off him that were helping him being able to, you know, do crime fighting on the street, because of course he still had that tremor in his arm, and he got the drugs to kind of temporarily cure that from Diaz. So he was basically funding him money. But not only that, while he was the Green Arrow, and he didn't tell anyone on Team Arrow about it. So for me, Diggle was in the wrong completely, because if it wasn't for him, Diaz may have never gotten to this area. So I felt very much against Diggle in this episode, and the whole fight aspect was just stupid. Like, they put the fight in the trailer, but the fight in itself was probably less than about 30 seconds, like them actually punching each other. It just felt very stupid to me, and it just felt like the writers just wanted an excuse to break up Oliver and Diggle. And the reason I don't like this is because it's so evident that the writers are trying to build a storyline where Oliver loses everyone from Team Arrow. Because if you think about it now, he's lost new Team Arrow, you know, Dinah, Curtis and Renee. He's lost Thea because obviously she's gone off with Roy. He's now lost Diggle because of course he leaves Team Arrow at the end of the episode. And now next episode, based on the promo, he's then going to lose Felicity. And they're literally repeating the same storyline that they had in episode 22 of season 5. Because in that entire episode, Prometheus, who was the main villain of season 5 obviously, gets rid of all the members of Team Arrow slowly to the point where it's just Oliver. They're literally repeating the same storyline but dragging it out. And it is ridiculous. That's my biggest gripe of Arrow this season. Recycled plot lines. And it's so frustrating. And more importantly, it feels like it's just being plot over character. Like, this outburst from Diggle feels so out of character, and Oliver even addresses it in the same episode. It's just so frustrating. I wish this storyline was done far better, because it had the potential to be really good, but for me at least, I just found myself really disappointed by it. The other negative I had with this episode was some of the stuff with Dinah. once again, the writers are trying to just make us forget that, what was it, 3 episodes ago? She was willing to kill Laurel, but now the writers are trying to slowly, like, build this kind of redemption thing with her, but I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it at all. She even has to bring up the whole argument about new Team Arrow versus original Team Arrow. She brings that up again this episode, like when they bring in Anatoly in the first 5 minutes, and it's so frustrating. Just let this go, because we know that they're gonna, all rejoin at the end of the season. It's just very frustrating to me, and just in general, I just really am starting to get a bit annoyed with her character and how they're just sweeping all this bad stuff with her under the rug and just trying to paint her to be this good character, because she isn't. 4 episodes ago, she was almost a flat-out murderer, so it just seems very strange to me why the writers are doing this. I was also disappointed with the underuse of Ricardo Diaz in this episode. I wanted to see much more of him, because at the moment, most of the stuff we've seen from him, and basically all the stuff in this episode, was just him behind the scenes. I want to see him more up front in action. And I just want to see his martial arts skills, because we know in episode 15 he can clearly hold himself in a fight, so why are the writers just making him this kind of behind the scenes guy? In the comics he's one of the best fighters in DC, so I just don't understand why they are making him this behind the scenes person. Give us some fight scenes, let us actually see him fight someone and kick someone's ass. Like, hopefully we get that sooner rather than later, because I am starting to get a little bit frustrated with how they are portraying his character in the show. Now let's get on to the things that I did like about this episode, and the first big thing that I liked, even though I didn't really enjoy 100% what they did with Ricardo Diaz in terms of his place as a villain, I still loved him in this episode. He's really cool. I just love his presence. It's different to what they did with Prometheus in a way, because Diaz is more kind of, I would say, sly and a bit more calm about it. He's just really, really cool, and I love Kirk Acevedo in the main role. He's just such an awesome actor, and he's just so good in that role. I just hope that, like I said, we just get to see more of him up front on the field rather than behind the scenes. I also really like Black Siren in this episode. They're still trying to play this, 50-50 card of whether she's good, whether she's bad, which I know some people are getting a bit frustrated by, but I'm still interested to see where they go with it, especially since it looks like at the end of the episode that the two of them are in a relationship, which I definitely didn't see coming. It was kind of caught me off guard as the very last scene, so yeah, that was very strange as well. I like how they progressed as well, the plot line with Oliver finding out all of the people in the police department and politicians that are being brought out by Diaz and are essentially under his payroll. Oliver finds Captain Hill and the other one, I can't even remember what his name is, and he basically fires them both because he knows that they're under his payroll, but then they kind of counteract that by not only firing all of the non-corrupt officers in the SCPD, but then they also have a news conference about how Oliver has done this to hide the fact that he's the Green Arrow and all that stuff. So it's very, very cool, and I'm happy that they are progressing this storyline along, because it's certainly one that I'm not the biggest fan of. So if we can get it over and done with sooner rather than later, then all the better for me, because it's not exactly a storyline I want to dwell on for a while. So for my overall final rating on this episode, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I know this is a score I'm giving a lot of the episodes, but it was decent, but I wouldn't exactly say it was good or great. I didn't really go into the episode with that many expectations, so I can't really say that it exceeded it, nor did it go below it. It was just a decent episode. I probably will forget it in about a few months' time, but let's just say it could have been a whole lot worse, and I am interested for next episode only because it looks as if it's a very Oliver-centric episode. We might even be getting like a few like hallucinations / flashbacks to like previous seasons based on set photos, and apparently from what I've read, as a rumour, Josh Segarra will be in the episode, and if he is, I will be very happy because it will just make me reminisce about the good times. So fingers crossed he's in the episode, because I'm looking forward to it. But for this one, it was decent but nothing special. So that's going to be it for my review for Arrow Season 6 Episode 7. Let me know in the comment section down below what you thought of this episode. And yeah, wasn't really that good, but hopefully next episode will be better. If you enjoyed the video, then please go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new so you don't miss anything, and I hope to see you again next time.